We'll find you someone who will do the painting, the plumbing, the carpentry, electric, sheetrocking, flooring, whatever you need here for Ithaca hours. And they were very happy to receive an interest-free loan of whatever, hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. They were able to repay that on a very easy schedule. If they had enough Ithaca hours, they could repay with Ithaca hours. If they didn't have Ithaca hours, they could repay with dollars. And in fact, that was a source of dollar income for the system when we needed dollars to print our local currency. In fact, we had a local printer who accepted Ithaca hours for part of the price of printing the Ithaca hours. So he printed the Ithaca hours, and we paid him part of the price of printing the Ithaca hours with the Ithaca hours he had printed. We had a lot of fun. I mean, I think that's an important part of this. This is fun. Social change is enormous fun. I met thousands of people I never otherwise would have met. Liberal, conservative, undecided, independent, indistinct. The full range of people in the Ithaca area, well, otherwise we never have met. I published 300 success stories in the newspaper Our Town to make vivid the value of local currency. Anecdotally, I asked people, how did you earn the money? How did you spend the money? And what do you think of the money? Lovely little vignettes. People said, no, I earned it for this thing or that thing or the other thing. I spent it for this, that, or the other. And I like it because of this, that, and the other. My favorite stories are, in the one case, a little girl. Her mother was renting an apartment to a student from Buffalo. She met the student from Buffalo, and she says, what does your city's money look like? A generation of children in Ithaca who assume that money is whatever you make it. The fellow who was walking around in New York City and who was mugged. The mugger says, give me your money. The guy from Ithaca says, well, I only got Ithaca hours and I don't know that they would do you any good here. The mugger became so fascinated by Ithaca hours that he quit demanding dollars. And they had a lovely conversation about money. So that to me is a greater contribution and greater impact for local currency, even in the specific dollar equivalent values transacted. Yes, sir. Any more questions? Yes. And yeah.
Hey, Paul. Okay. Couple of things. First, Urbana used to print its own money in the Great Depression. That's one of the ways our city actually survived that situation. We are getting a Great Depression of a different sort, so it might be a timely moment to think about it. I have two questions, if I can get away with asking two. Very different questions. The first is the mechanics question. And this is somewhat for the UC Smiles folks, actually. I was so excited to see local currency crop up. There was actually a group of people who used to meet in my house in 1995 when I first moved here on Nevada Street, and it met for a year and a half talking about how to start a local currency, and they never actually started a local currency. So when I saw UC Smiles starting, I was really excited, and I haven't been able to figure out how to get in. Like, I don't actually want to pay money to get UC Smiles. I want to give time. So I don't want to participate. It doesn't make sense for me to take dollars and contribute them to UC Smiles. So I'm trying to understand, the first is mechanics, just how do you get this stuff in circulation and keep it in circulation? And the second question is, I I am oftentimes the person on the other end of the phone of people who either don't have homes, don't have money, homes, don't have food, don't have a baby seat, don't have a job. I oftentimes weekly answer phone calls about people, and particularly folks with felony convictions who have a legal barrier to accessing money and therefore accessing certain goods and services you buy with money. So I'm wondering, have you seen, it seems like that's a natural growth area for this concept of local currency, is to specifically to work with those folks in this community. It's a very high volume of people. Almost every locally born African American male between the ages of 18 and 25 who I come in contact with is dealing with some kind of felony conviction. And it's oftentimes for non-violent offenses. So there's been a systematic attempt by the previous state's attorney and the current state's attorney to mark young African American males in our community with felony status for non-violent offenses. So as a result of that multiple decades legacy, we've got lots and lots of people in our community who can't access cash because they have barriers to employment. So how can you see Smiles, or how has Ithaca Hours helped to overcome this specific barrier too, especially folks who otherwise don't have the opportunity to use dollars to meet their needs? Those are my two questions: mechanics and overcoming barriers, especially those with felony conviction.
Clearly, yeah, that there's a school to prison pipeline. There's a new form of slavery abroad in the land. This is a prison industrial complex. And the Greens called me up a few weeks ago and asked me to run for governor of Pennsylvania. I said, okay. And this is one of the big issues. In Philadelphia, the 300,000 residents who have been in jail and returned from jail. And the system is rigged. The game is rigged, clearly. And local currency is a component of regaining local control, neighborhood control, with the values of ecology and social justice. And as I was saying, a wholesale, gigantic rebuilding of civilization so that everybody has value, everyone can contribute, that we have full employment, and that counterposed to our current system of, well, we have an unemployed pool, particularly racially identified, who we can exploit to fill our prisons. That's the game that prevails at this time. And currency is a component of that. The mechanics of that contribution are that in Ithaca, for example, our social services agency allowed people to earn Ithaca Hours without compromising their eligibility for social services. Local currency enables people to start up a business without having formal business structure. After the 1992 Rodney King rebellion in Los Angeles, I drafted a design for Malcolm X money. I said, you're never going to be able to get anywhere by depending on dollars and donations. In 1992, the gangs of LA got together and said, give us the money. We will collaborate to rebuild Los Angeles. Of course, the money didn't want to do that. They